You know what I don't get to do over a lot of the different things that we talk about? I don't get to talk about authoritarian regimes enough. You know? So, what the fuck do I not have to talk about? Well, making videos about football, for crying out loud. Okay, granted, nobody's making me talk about this. I find it very interesting, and so I'm just going to whack you over the head with it. Guinness World Record for the most consecutive wins by a team. What is it? Do you know? Football team. Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. Right? Do you know why it's Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia? Because the Guinness Book of World Records refuses to acknowledge the supremacy of FK Arkadag in Turkmenistan. Bullshit. And I will go to great lengths to explain why that is nonsense that should be honored by the Guinness Book of World Records. You see, this lovely club that I have recently been made aware of, I'd heard rumors about them before, but this wonderful club that was founded last year in Turkmenistan. You see, it was founded by, I got to make sure I get this right. I've been practicing in the mirror. You ready? Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. Yeah, I fucking saddled that name up and wrote it into town. Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, the former, depending on who you ask, still authoritarian leader of Turkmenistan. Now, granted, to his credit, apparently he gave power over to his son 2 years ago so that he could start up this football club instead. This dude is just 51 shades of weird. Absolutely beyond bizarre. I don't think you've ever met a normal authoritarian leader before, but the entire country of Turkmenistan, right, is a reclusive state. It's the type of country that you never hear about, and you never hear about because it's basically impossible to get in. It is a country that does not let a lot of information out. It is a country with entirely state-controlled media. And it is also a country with a football league that Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov decided to start a club in 2023. Now, if you know anything about authoritarian states, you will know that anytime one of them happens to be partaking in any sort of athletic competition, you are supposed to let them win, right? That is how this is supposed to work, right? You are not supposed to cause an effrontery to the person that is the leader of your country and controls all of the laws and all of the media. So, but granted, that doesn't mean that's what's happening for sure, because I'm making an argument that this team's record should be allowed to stand as the longest consecutive winning streak ever. Now, you might be wondering how they've managed to accomplish that if they were founded in 2023. Well, allow me to ring your bell. They've won every single match they've ever played. Now, I know you might be wondering how that contrasts with what I was literally just talking about, that if you're competing in sports and an authoritarian state up against the former authoritarian leader, that it's probably in your best interest to let them win. Well, this is just a coincidence. Okay, this is just a coincidence because this team just also happens to be the greatest team that's ever laced them up and decided to play. Now, you see, in order to make things fair, though, when the club was formed, they were immediately put into the top flight of Turkmenistan, which is a little unusual, right? But that sort of thing happens in the United States as well, right? Where if a club is founded, they go immediately right into the top division. So, of course, FK Arkadag would go directly into the top Turkmenistan division. And, of course, they would, they would hold something that I would consider an extended transfer window in order to acquire a few of the better players in Turkmenistan. A few, not all of them. There are players in the Turkmen national team that are not on this team, right? It's not like they went and bought all of them, although our glorious leader, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, is certainly a man of eminent wealth and, might I say, stamina and physique as well. Somebody that might be able to, just with one flex of his particularly muscular arm, inspire droves of young men to commit to his cause in a way that's certainly not creepy at all. No, they just extended the transfer window in order to provide equity in the introduction of this new club. You might be wondering where this new club is playing. FK Arkadag. Well, they would be playing in the city of Arkadag, Turkmenistan. Let's take a look at that. The White City in southern Turkmenistan. It's built almost entirely out of the white marble. It's absolutely crazy. It's named, of course, in honor of former President Gurbanguly Berdimuhammedov, who, his official title and nickname is Arkadag. But the fact that in the club's FK Arkadag, it's all just a giant coincidence. I've always thought that Arkadag would be a particularly good name for a city. And so that he thought the same thing, honestly. And so he decided to just go ahead and build that city. You got to love it when a city's history page starts in November 2018 when he began reviewing project proposals for construction of a new capital for Ahal province. Because I also was thinking that Ahal province needed a new capital, right? That's the idea. Does the city look a little like some sort of seaside resort from some weird bygone era, entirely covered in white marble? Yeah, it does. But, honestly, I feel like we needed a throwback to the classics. And once you build such a beautiful, spectacular even, capital of the Ahal province, of course they need a sports team, and that's where FK Arkadag decided to come in. A little side project once you put your son in charge of the entire country. Just another guy running another football club with an extended transfer window. Yeah, and then you're good, basically. I mean, look, if you take a look at the Turkmenistan national team, there actually aren't that many Arkadag players in the Turkmenistan national team. There's only 1, 2, 3. So you probably thought I was going to go higher than that, but a lot of them actually play for Ahal, which, weirdly enough, is not in the capital of the Ahal province because, well, the capital of the Ahal province is Arkadag for reasons that we've already covered in detail. Now, in spite of the fact that it seems very clear that there is some sort of, distribution of talent going on in the league. If you actually look at the league table here, that's the league table from this season. You can see that Ahal and the other team that sends players to the national team, Altan Asir, are both at 49 points, competing very amicably for second place in the league because at a whopping first with 119 goals for and 17 against is FK Arkadag. Now, this is what, freaking Guinness Book of World Records is choosing to ignore. I guess they're just paying attention to iShow's speed doing backflips instead of real greatness happening here in Turkmenistan. Now, don't get me wrong, doing over 1,000 backflips is great, but winning 72 consecutive matches at the start of your team, or sorry, not 72 consecutive, what does it say? It's like 50. Does it even matter? Are they ever going to not win? Probably not. Now, look, I understand why there might be some hesitancy from the Guinness Book of World Records. Right, there are some ne'er-do-wells, some rabble-rousers, perhaps raising an issue or two that can very easily be explained once you understand, why FK Arkadag is so great in the first place. Now, their official reason, before we get into all that other stuff, is there's relatively little detail available for the Turkmenistan League, less than we want for the kind of due diligence we carry out in our research for this and similar records. I don't know what they're trying to say. Turkmenistan is incredibly open. Tourism is booming. We had entire 15 people visit Turkmenistan this past year, and all 5 of the ones that actually enjoyed their time in Turkmenistan were allowed to leave. So dude, it's great. What do you mean? The White City isn't creepy at all. You see, the Guinness Book of World Records is probably just paying attention to things like this European-based message board, Chronika Turkmenistana, where fans are talking about, from rival clubs, talking about a referee being openly, they're saying ridiculous things. Like referees were openly, they're openly helping Arkadag win. I mean, that's just the silliest thing I've ever heard, right? They talked about a match against Shakadam where the referee unfairly awarded Arkadag a penalty in the 91st minute from which they clinched victory. I mean, first of all, Shagadam, the city's not even white. So I'm pretty sure that's not even a real team. And we all know that the world smiles upon the dear leader. So of course they're going to get a last second penalty. They are inspired by the spirit of Gurbanguly Berdimuhammedov, the Arkadag. He instills within them his own vim and vigor as if they are his own blood because he is so unbelievably inspiring that they must simply win every game. Of course, there is somebody else from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty's Turkmen service. There was talking about the fact that, I don't know, FK Arkadag might have played a friendly against a team from the second division of North Macedonia and drawn 1-1, which was clearly anti-Turkmenistani propaganda to try and make the team look worse. That match was rigged for the second division team from North Macedonia, my apologies, right? But it was rigged in their favor in order to try and make Turkmenistan's best team ever look bad and try and make Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov look bad. That's the only reason they did it. There basically wasn't even a referee on the field. It was the president of North Macedonia trying to increase the pride of North Macedonia, which makes it even more ridiculous that Radio Free Europe said if the best team of the nation scores a draw with a second division team from Macedonia, you can say it's not of the highest quality, which honestly I take as an insult, and I condemn his entire family to a life of happiness in Turkmenistan. And apparently, unbelievably, most Turkmen football fans actually follow big teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Manchester United, who, of course, would all lose if they had to play FK Arkadag in Turkmenistan. If they had to play them in Turkmenistan, they would obviously lose because this is an entirely unbeatable and undrawable team. It's clear that all this anti-FK Arkadag propaganda is flooding the airwaves, it's flooding the blogosphere, and it's just trying to hold the best team in history down. And the only thing, right, the only thing that the Guinness Book of World Records can do to try and make this right is give Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov what he deserves, which is the best football team in history. The most wins in a row ever achieved by any club. The club that from its inception was perfect, just like its dear president, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. Or, there's just a little weird shit going on in Turkmenistan. Just a little bit of match fixing, little bit of favoritism to the guy that literally controls the fate of you and every single person you fucking know. Just a little bit. One of those two things is going on. You get to make up your mind. I mean, is it the greatest team ever? Or is the best team in Turkmenistan the team that wins literally every single match in the Turkmen League and is about to start competing in the AFC Champions League about to get found out because it's had just a little bit of favoritism in its favor? Honestly, if you were making a movie about an autocratic regime, you probably couldn't have done a better job making fun of the way this sort of stuff works in a country like Turkmenistan. It seems from the outside, because you can't go in and ask anybody questions about how exactly all of this is going down. You couldn't have done a better job of making it any funnier than all of this. From the Marble City to the team and the extra transfer window. Whatever, dude. Arkadag supremacy, baby. They're coming for the throne. See you at the Club World Cup.